In the social media reaction genre, silly comments are considered especially heinous. At Dear Woke Christian, the dedicated content creators who investigate these horrible comments are members of an elite squad known as the Dusty Comments Unit. These are their stories.
Grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, you know what we're about to do. I'm just wondering, in this new Trump il- presidency, why so many people of the highly melanated variety are crashing out because Trump has declared DEI not the flavor of the week, not the jam. I'm trying to understand why. And I got this article here and I'm really bothered. So can y'all help me out real quick? Let's jump in. Black people only comprise of 4% of the DEI positions in the workplace. So you hear a lot of people talking about, they don't want, they're not hiring black people. Well, they weren't using DEI to hire you in the first place. Only 4% of you, if 100 people or 100 black people were applying for jobs, only 4 of them got their job because of DEI. The other 96 got their jobs because of, dare I say, maybe their merit, their skills, their abilities, their talents, maybe some nepotism, but not DEI. Let's continue. Following the 2020 death of George Floyd, companies across various industries made announcements after announcement that they would invest in diversity and inclusion initiatives, often using the position of chief diversity officer to direct these efforts. A report from career site Zepia details that these positions, only 4% of the roles were occupied by Black people in 2023. So then that means other people groups are using the diversity, equity, and inclusion to jettison their careers into the stratosphere, catapult themselves into new roles and positions, but not Black people. Just seems interesting. So why are we crashing out about it then? Why are we going into a tizzy? I have an idea. According to a senior economist at Revelio Labs, this suggests that the pledges many companies issued post George Floyd were not followed through with intent, but they were. That's the thing. They they were. They said we're gonna make it diverse, we're gonna make it inclusive, and we're gonna make it equitable. Just not for they're doing it. The problem is you thought it meant only for black people. That's what you thought. They never told you that. Let's keep going. I'm sorry. I always say that it is so easy to make public statements and commitments because no one will eventually check if you're committed to those things that you committed to. I think they did. I think they did commit to it and they did do it. They just weren't making them for black people. But even worse than that, why do black people want that though? Why? Why is your goal and aspiration that they have to do everything just because of your skin color? It makes no sense. It just seems like such a self-defeating purpose. I can say I will be fully vegan by 2025 because no one will ever call me in 2025 and ask me if I'm actually a fully vegan. And that's really what is going on here. I disagree. I disagree fully, but let's continue. In 2020, a lot of companies made big commitments, big statements around DEI roles and goals. And as we are observing a turning of the tide, I think it's very timely that we actually look into companies to see if they have kept up with those big statements. I think the big statement they did. The problem was you assumed that they were going to be hiring more black people. No, DEI was meant to bring in everybody, anybody, black people, along with everybody else. No, diversity of ideas, including people of their happy time in the bedroom, inclusion of different genders. No, you thought they meant black people. That was your fault. The lack of black people in diversity and equity inclusion roles makes experts in that field suspect that, like Anissa, those announcements and positions were created for a public relations boost and little else. What else did you think they were? What did you really think they were? Y'all are smarter than this. Chris Metzler, a senior vice president of corporate DEI and environmental, social, and governance strategies at the National Urban League, tells NBC News most of your diversity professionals at these companies report to human resources, which is headed by white women and in some cases, white men met social. So I guess that's bad. So it's bad that they have white women and white men. See, I told you this has never been about doing the right thing. It's only about performative live action role playing. That's all it is. So it doesn't surprise me that black diversity officers are being moved out. It's increasingly becoming a dead end job because it never was a life giving job. I'm going to say it again. This mindset is a grievance gospel. It doesn't actually grow. It actually only feeds on those things that are living. So this company, your company only can DEI will not cause your company to grow. DEI will grow at the expense of your company. Corporations are saying one thing and demonstrating something else. Is going back to checking the box versus hiring and keeping qualified workers who can impact change in a company. How about just hiring? But see, this is the thing. Y'all are checking boxes now instead of hiring and keeping qualified workers. Because if you're making widgets, do you care if it's a black person making widgets or a white person making widgets? I want the best widget maker possible. That's what companies are in business to do. I think the lack of understanding of what companies do is really part of parcel of the problem. Continue. Those DEI experts also say that two key factors help make DEI positions less stable than others: a lack of support and hiring individuals who are not qualified to hold positions. But they're black though. But they're women though. But they do this, that, and the other in the bedroom. You hired those people. See, I told you, it's never meant, it's not able to grow on its own. It needs you to grow. It's a cancer. Let's keep going. Tia Robinson, a human resource professional based in Houston, says that another key part of doing DEI work successfully lies in employees having the willpower to allow those individuals to do the work they are hired for. Like if I hire you to make widgets, make the widget. It's really that simple. Your adult time in the bedroom really doesn't play a role in making this widget. We've inserted it into there, and therein is the problem. Continue. Robinson told NBC News. So many of these individuals were receiving these great salaries, but in reality, they were wearing a golden handcuffs, unable to do but so much because the organization leaders didn't want much done. See, because DEI can't do its own thing. It can't perform. It has to leech off of the success, off of the life, off of the energy of the company or the organization that it's attached to. It does nobody wants that. Nobody's sitting out here saying, "Oh, I'm only going to hire these particular people with their external phenotypes versus I want to hire somebody that's successful in this career path, who's going to be successful in this role and have a great career path." See, nobody's saying that. Y'all are saying that. And now you realize nobody else is following along with you. The Harvard Business Review took a look at why diversity programs failed in 2016. And they surmised that those programs failed because companies do not use the data, which shows that the impact of bias and sensitivity training often does not last beyond a day or two and can also inspire negative feelings. Duh. If you sit there and browbeat somebody and tell them that they're racist simply because they're white or they're born in a certain part of the United States, yeah, that's going to cause negative feelings. Sure. If you say, "Hey, you're bad because you're a man," or "You're lesser because you're a dude," yeah, that's going to engender negative feelings. Shocking. After companies instituted mandatory diversity training for managers, the percentage of Black, Latinas, and women managers dropped by 9%, and Asian managers fell by 5. They found that instituting voluntary training engenders much better results, with the increase of up to 13% in blacks, black men, and no decline in the number of black women managers. The Harvard Business Review also found that among the things that served to increase diversity was diversity task force, diversity managers, self-managed teams, and college recruiting focus on the groups companies want to hire and retain. So basically, external discrimination. Okay, it makes perfect sense. And shocking that this doesn't work. In short, it is not that diversity programs don't work or don't achieve results. They don't. That's the thing. You're going to just keep doubling, tripling, quadrupling down, but they don't. Essentially, if the direction of the company's program is misguided, then the diversity numbers will be stagnant. But is the company doing what the company is supposed to do? If you want a company to make phones, if you want a company to make cars or cameras or whatever of that nature, why are you putting so much onus in other areas that are not about your core business? Now, I understand people are going to talk about your work-life balance and health and all this kind of jazz, like that mental health, which I can totally get with. But let's just be honest. Do you know the mental health of the person that made your cell phone that you're watching this video on? No, you don't. You don't. And I guarantee you, it probably wasn't a very diverse environment. It probably wasn't. So why are we doing this? Continue. Similar to what Robinson said, poor diversity outcomes or hiring numbers come down to the will of the individual companies hiring. See, again, it's the will of the companies. The company has to do something else that is not already part of its core business. My core business is providing energy for this section of the United States. My core business is providing water bottles for this market. This is my core business. But now I got to take in a new aspect of my core business and do something more that actually depletes, as I said before, it takes from, it doesn't give to. Continue. It boils down to a company or industry doing the research and following through based on what works, not what the company feels is comfortable with. Look at this. I think this is interesting. It boils down to a company or industry doing the research. So you got to do the work, Mr. CEO, president, board of directors. Y'all got to do the work. But continue. And following through based on what works. So if you do the work and you say, hey, we are in business to make 2x4s. So we're out here in the woods finding good trees. We're chopping them up. We're trying to find successful ways to make 2x4s. That works. So we need people who are adequate in sawology and arborists and the such of that nature. That works. You don't care what their ethnicity is. You don't care what their adult fun time is like. You don't care as long as they're able to cut this tree down and get it to the mill. But see, they want you to do more work, not what the company feels comfortable with. How are you assuming that they're comfortable with it? And just that maybe they just want to be successful in business. Nobody's going into business to be broke. Nobody's going into business to not be successful. Come on now. So anyway, this was a great video. I appreciate y'all checking it out. Please, if you don't mind, give me that down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm off base? Do you think I really am missing it? And since you stayed all the way to the end, drop a tree emoji in the comment. Let me know that you stayed all the way to the end. Until next time, everybody, grace and peace.